Welcome to the Gem Series, powered by Rocket Level. On this podcast, we empower entrepreneurs to succeed by setting big goals, executing like a pro, and having a fearless mindset. The Gem Series is all about investing in yourself. We're here to share the path to getting what you want out of life by sharing the stories of entrepreneurs who have done this themselves, providing thorough research from our team on what careers and habits are yielding the best results, and discussing the mindset it takes to overcome the obstacles that all future entrepreneurs will face. Investing in yourself starts with putting in the work every single day, and this podcast is here to help you do exactly that. My name is Blake Chapman. I'm the Vice President of the Ambassador Program here at Rocket Level, and I am thrilled to be your host for the Gem Series. I am so excited to welcome our guest today on the Gem Series, Jamal Lewis. I'm sure you all know Jamal, but I'm just going to give you a quick rundown on a little bit about Jamal, so I hope you don't mind me giving everybody the stats here. But Jamal has done something that very few people in the world have ever done. Jamal has led a team to win the Super Bowl. Jamal has won a record as AP NFL Offensive Player of the Year, has rushed in his 2003 season 2,066 yards, and additionally has just smashed records. And in 2003, even won a game where he ran a grand total of 295 yards in one game. I want to talk a little bit about that because, obviously it's a really challenging thing for anybody to be able to do. And it takes the right mindset. It takes having goals. It takes dedication. It takes that execution. But what a lot of people don't realize is, and something that I'm excited to talk about today is that you also are an entrepreneur, and you, I'm sure, have applied some of these tactics today to be able to get to, where you are right now. And that is what so many people are always trying to figure out these days. There's this big shift happening where more and more people are constantly looking to see, how can I invest directly in myself? How can I kind of go against the norm and get what I want out of life? And I think you're just an excellent example of somebody that went against the norm to be able to achieve exactly what you wanted, and somebody that's had clear goals and stuck with those to get to the next stage. So I wanted to, ask you, Jamal, first, how are you doing, man?
I'm good. It's Friday. So, that's why I chose today to come in. It's a good day. And I've been traveling for a week or so. So, just happy to be back home with the kids, hanging out.
And where are you getting back from?
Vegas. I was in Las Vegas for the National Football Foundation. It was holding the College Football Hall of Fame. So I was out there supporting my old roommate, teammate, Al Wilson, as he got inducted to the 2021 class. So that was awesome. So it's had a good time.
That's awesome.
Vegas is Vegas.
Yeah, most definitely.
Absolutely.
What happens in Vegas? No, I'm just kidding. No, I love that, man. It's also cool that you're still hanging out with Al and getting to support somebody, see somebody else, get up there. So
big for the university. We need it, right?
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. So, something that I was kind of touching on earlier was that goals, that execution, and that mindset. I kind of wanted to hear from you. How did you overall apply your goals, your execution and mindset from pro football to the business world? Because this is something that maybe not everybody is, obviously everybody knows you across the world for some of your achievements in football, and football is a part of your life today. I was just hoping for some of our listeners and our viewers that you could maybe share a little bit about where your head's at with that, and how you made that transition and how you apply it to other fields of your life.
Well, it's hard. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad to have you on, man.
That's great. So, but I've been asked this before, and it's more of it's hard work, dedication, sacrifice. That's kind of the three principles I apply, across everything that I do.
Yeah.
So from the sports area, it's more of, when I was in high school, it's going to the next level to college, then going to the next level to the pros. It's all about, how are you going to be successful on that next level? And I think it all applies to, that sacrifice.
Yeah.
What are you willing to give up, in order to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish? Are you going to be dedicated to it? And are you going to work hard enough for it? And after retiring, going to, I was always an entrepreneur when I was playing.
Yeah.
I had a business when I was playing, but more hands off of the business, which I learned you shouldn't do anyway. So just wait and be patient.
Sure.
But when I ended up finishing up, I had a trucking company that was spiraling and going out of control, and I had another real estate business that got hit by 2007, 2008, and even my trucking company got hit 2007, 2008. So credit dried up, a lot of things happened or whatever. But at the same time, when everything kind of hit the fan, and transitioning from football or my career, my past career, to entrepreneurship and what am I going to do now? It's one of the things I think that a lot of athletes and entertainers suffer with. And I think it's more of, trying to find that structure. I tell everybody that, when you're leaving the NFL, the structure is already there. So when you show up for training camp, you already know what hotel you're going to be in for the Super Bowl. You know what time dinner is going to be for Super Bowl.
Wow, yeah.
And pregame meal, and everything else. So everything's already laid out every day. But when you retire, who's going to lay that structure out for you? Who's going to offer you that structure? And I think that's where a lot of guys struggle post, football or post, sports, career, whatever, or even entertainment.
Sure.
That's where the struggle at is. How do you find that structure? And that's when I had to really look myself in the mirror. And you have to, when things kind of were spiraling, you say, what would I do if I was down 21 points in a game? And then you roll back to those coaches that used to say, Coach Fulmer or Coach Billick, or I've had a lot of great coaches that, would say, hey, look, we're getting our butts beat, whatever. At halftime, hey, look, now what do we got to do? We got to regroup. We got to reassess what's going on. And we got to go out here and just, minimize our mistakes. And we got to keep on plugging and keep pressing. Yeah. So that's kind of how the adjustment happened and what I had to do in order to set the platform for post-career, and take some of those things that I learned, from coaches, from teammates, from experiences. And like I said, being down 21 points against the Jaguars my rookie year and us coming back to win the game. Being in these games where you see Roethlisberger or, even they're down and they come back and beat us. So, it's all about, hey, what's next? And, after a game, guess what? It's done with. You forget about it. You correct your mistakes. And, your weaknesses, correct those weaknesses, those problem areas, you address them. And then when it's really bad, you got to go back and you got to go back to the fundamentals. Yeah. So I can remember Coach Billick one time, we were having a bad season. And I can remember we was probably week 6, week 7. And when we went to practice, you would have thought that we were a 10-year-old Pop Warner team going through handoffs, going through, these little fundamentals.
Sure, yeah.
A lot of times, hey, you got to go back and reassess the situation and go back to the basics. And that's kind of how I adjusted into, post football and my entrepreneurship and trying to just grind and find my way. And hey, what am I going to go at and what am I going to be successful at now? So that's kind of how the adjustment happened.
No, I think that's incredible, and I love what you said about, sacrifice as well, because I think that is something that is important to realize and is helpful for being grounded in the moment, is realizing that you're not going to be able to have it all necessarily, right? You got to stay focused on your bigger picture and constantly be realizing that there's certain things you'll have to forgo to be able to get there. Also, with back to basics, that is crucial, I think, because at any moment, I think people get kind of lost in the vision of what it takes to get to that next level for themselves. And they forget that maybe their fundamentals are just not in check. Maybe that stuff's not set up for success right now. No, I think that's really, really crucial for all of our viewers to be able to know. So something that I, also wanted to catch from you is, even in high school, you had this, it sounds like you had a long-term plan for yourself. Is that kind of, did you have this whole thing mapped out for you? And what did that, I guess, sticking with that goal, what did that look like for you?
When I was going to be a freshman in high school, I knew what I wanted to do. Necessarily play football wasn't like my all-out goal, what I wanted to do. I like business. My dad was in business, so I felt like I would run the family business and jump in and do what he does just in case. But then after my 10th grade year, things kind of opened up and opportunity was there.
Yeah.
When opportunity knocks, it's like, okay, we got to go after it. And that's where the schools was calling and getting letters and just everything kind of just rolling. I said, hey, I'm going to just give this a try.
Yeah.
And because first of all, it's going to pay for my education. And it's going to get me to college. It's going to get me from the neighborhood I'm in. It's going to get me going and give me a better life. So I had that plan. It was either going to be that or go to the military. Plain and simple. That was just it. And I had a plan. And I tell everybody, you got to have a plan. And that was my plan. But luckily, football panned out and, we had some success. And things kind of fell my way, but I worked hard. I worked very hard.
Yeah.
And I was always one of those guys that said, hey, look, I want to outwork my opponent because I realized that my opponent wasn't just the teams I was going up against. It was every running back that was in the country that was at my age. And I saw that. And I wanted to outwork them. I wanted to be doing something at 9 o'clock at night, working out wise that I knew that they weren't doing. And that's kind of what my brother instilled in me too. Like, hey, he said, hey, what are you doing different than everybody else?
Yeah.
If you're doing what everybody else is doing, guess what? That's going to just make you average.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I took with me on through college and even the pros is, just outwork your opponent, not work everybody, just stay focused. And I just know that, you got to set a goal. You have to set goals. I learned early on in school that, short-term goals, medium-term, long-term. And that's kind of how you stay on track. That's kind of how you stay on a path.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that goal, that long-term goal, or those milestones in between, you can fall off track. And it's easy to get distracted, especially in the world we're living in now.
Yeah, set the agenda and, put everything in place to make sure that you get there. There's going to be some stuff that I would imagine, you can knock out immediately. But you need to make sure that you're not just working just to work, right?
Right.
And I think that's absolutely crucial as well. Now, we a lot of times over here, what we're always talking about is analyzing your opponents and looking at the competition. And again, it comes back to these sports analogies. Do you find yourself doing that now in the business world, having that same mindset of like, who are the other players out there, and what do I do to stand out?
Oh yeah, definitely. In my businesses and where I'm at, I always try to look at competition, but not just looking at the competition, but just look at innovation. How can you innovate? How can you be different? How are you going to set yourself apart? And that's where the outworking my opponent comes in at, and using that in my day-to-day business is how am I going to set myself apart? So yeah, both of us are in the room with a client. Who are they going to go with? And I want to figure out how I can set myself different where I'm not the same. And, there's growth there and innovation, I think that's key.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. I wanted to ask too, so, we're talking about business, we're talking about your life. What are you excited about right now? I know that you have a lot going on. You came in with the amazing gifts from your current company right now. Thank you so much, by the way. What gets you out of bed in the morning though, right now?
What gets me out of bed? Of course, I got kids to take care of.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's a given. But I think, what gets me out of bed right now, motivates me is the sale, the thrill of the sale. That's my rush. That's my touchdown. Being able to go and close a deal or close a client, and get more business and employ more people, and be able to put people to work that aren't able to or might be under certain circumstances. Just being able to provide opportunity. That's what drives me.
Absolutely.
And getting me out of bed in the morning to get going.
Absolutely. No, that's something that I think is the biggest goal of hopefully most entrepreneurs out here, right? Is looking at, who are people that I can bring onto my team and how can I make them even better than I am even, right? And how to empower people. So is that something that, you guys are always thinking about over there, where you're looking to, lift people up and get people, get the next up and comer, out there? And, tell me a little bit about your thoughts on that maybe.
Yeah, well, I always look at everything like a football team.
Yeah.
Right? So, I was a player on a team, but I always, was intrigued by the upper management and the organization upstairs, and what they were doing and how did they come up to, how did it work,
Totally.
And I kind of see myself as like a general manager, right?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of go in and put together the team. I know my weaknesses. I know what my weaknesses are, but I also know my strengths. And my strengths are, sales. My strengths are relationships, resources, building relationships.
Yeah.
That's my strength. But if I can put people around me that can do the other things, that do the other things, that can, that can lead, that can manage, that can handle certain areas of the business, that we need taken care of. Those are the things that that I try to do and putting together the pieces to the puzzle.
Absolutely.
So building a business is all about your people, and giving them, the power to do and make decisions and, be, I want everybody to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Even people that work for me, I try to give them that ownership, give them that ownership, let them go and make decisions and not be afraid to make, risks. Make mistakes.
Yeah. Give them space to grow, because just anywhere you're going to need to be able to, take those risks to get to the next level.
Yep.
And have people that are open to allowing you to get there. No,
Yep.
That's so true. And I would imagine even, on the field, like, I'm sure there are moments where you're like, your coaches needed to give the other players space to be able to, take a risk and get to that next level.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what makes great players, right? Mm-hmm. That's what makes great players. Great players will get involved in a game and get in a situation that hasn't been coached, and they still make the play.
Yeah,
and that's taking a risk. That interception that a guy might make, guess what? He guessed it and he guessed right and he turned around at the right time. And it probably was a method to his madness where he saw it.
Sure.
And he said, I'm gonna take a chance on this. And he takes it. But that's what make people special, make people great. And that's what I try to instill in my employees and the people that are in leadership within my companies, and making sure that they have that and they can go make those decisions and, hey, make a decision and live with it. I think Harbaugh said it best. He said, everybody has an opinion, but everybody don't have to make decisions, so it's kind of one of those things where, which one do you want to be? And that's what we try to do in instilling that into our employees.
No, I think that's so cool, man. Cause I feel like such an important part of growth is trusting yourself and trusting your gut. And that is all a part of mindset and creating that mental resilience, because so many people are dealing with doubt. So many people in my generation, I know, are always kind of conflicted about what direction do I need to go in? Am I really destined to, go to college and then I get the degree and then I get married and then I'm working for 40 years? Is that my route? Or am I somebody that can be a freelancer? Am I somebody that can work for myself? And how do I look out for myself? So I feel like just as somebody that's trying to get to that next level, it's so important to learn how to trust your gut and get to the point where you can block out any of those other kind of doubts that come in. Yep. So how do you evaluate doubt when it comes your way to keep your mind strong and continue increasing that kind of mental resilience? Because I would imagine, you're talking 21 points up, and you guys were still able to beat them. That's just an example. But I guess my point there is there's got to be something that you tap into, right? That gets you to where you just are not afraid of failure. You're relentless, and you can take yourself across to the other side to go for the win.
Yeah. Well, the first first thing is faith. I have faith that, God's going to lead me in the right direction, first of all.
Yeah.
And he's not going to let me fail. And if he do put me in a certain position, it's for a reason. So go in it, learn from it, and take that as an experience, and take it to the next level. But I think it's more, over the years that has built up over, not being so wound up when I got to go play the Pittsburgh Steelers, where I mess around and have a fumble in the game. I always did in that game because you're mentally not engaged because they got you.
Yeah.
So you have to, meditate. You have to meditate. You have to have faith and know that, hey, look, you can keep pressing, or what's the solution? That's why with my guys, it's more of, hey, I don't want the problem. I don't want the problem. Bring me the solution.
Yeah,
If you're going to bring me the problem, bring me the solution that covers that problem. And that involves a thought process, and it involves being able to, think on the run, And I told somebody today that said he was, just left his job and, jumping into entrepreneurship. And I told him, it's like being a running back. Hey, anything can jump out there. You just got to be able to, react. You got to be able to think quick and react quicker. So how do you do that? And how can you do that with a calm head? And how can you not let, things really get to you or get you wound off where you're not making a bad decision on emotion? So that's kind of where I'm at now. And I've grown to do that and be that way. But nothing really bothers me or is going to get to me because I've been to the bottom. So it's like, it's what else? What else?
You're like, this is nothing. I've been there,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I've been there, so it's kind of like, how do you keep that level head, keep your mind strong? And that comes with meditation. That comes with, understanding yourself. That comes with being able to, be in control of yourself and not let others control you. So mentally, it's just staying focused and working on that. The same way you work on your muscles, you work on your mind, right? So do that, So therefore, when the heat does come on, we got one of the game maxims at Tennessee. When a game of breaks go against you, don't let up, put on more steam. So that's one of the things I fall back on too. It's like, hey, get a grip, let's go, figure it out. What's the worst that can happen? Tomorrow will come.
The worst that can happen is you give up. Right. You're like, that's all there is, and I guess that's something that I talk about a lot too. And we are always thinking about is, what does it mean to approach failure and almost welcome failure? Right. I welcome, just like in sales, right? You welcome objections, you welcome anything that can illuminate what's in front of you and give you an opportunity to overcome it and get you to the next stage you got to be at. I loved how you tied it back to running backs too, because something I've been reading. There's this book called Impact Players, and it talks all about what does it take to be somebody that makes a true impact at whether it's your organization or whether it's a job that you have. What does it take to actually make a difference? And something that they always talk about is you got to be the person that's looking around the corner, right? You got to be the one that is constantly taking into consideration what could possibly happen in the future, what problems might run up, and be ahead of it. That way, you're not the guy with sitting there twiddling your thumbs whenever a problem comes up and just complaining to your boss or complaining to somebody else. So I think that's something that I definitely can see where you have that in practice over there.
You got to be ahead. You got to be ahead, and like you said, thinking from the analogy of the running back situation, it's, you have to, there's plan A, B, C, D. So, when one don't work, you already know what the other one is, but it's running and reacting. And, one of the things we say is, it's Coach Belichick, prepare for everything and expect anything. So if you're prepared, guess what? Nobody can throw you any curveballs or any surprises, because you're ready. So
man.
That's how you got to be.
Man, that is awesome. So tell me a little bit about right now, within your job, what gets you, what have you been working on, like more specifically right now that gets you really, really fired up over at the job? Are you, do you have any big projects that you're working on right now? Is that something that you feel passionate about right now?
Yeah, I think that one of the biggest things, in my business, we do in-store fixtures and installations.
Yeah.
So big box retail stores going in and doing cross merchandising, uprights, moving shelves, but it's mainly labor based. And that's one of the things that's really got me going now is the labor, getting the right people, building a nice team, building a nice foundation of people that want to work, that want to get better, that want to climb the ladder within our company, and just be a part of something special. Because I would say, especially in some of the retailers I'm in, I'm the only African American company that's even involved. So
wow, yeah.
When we're in stores, whatever, we're all African American crews. We have women as well, but at the same time, I go in and find labor in certain areas that others don't want to go, and they can't. So that's kind of what motivates me is trying to change the game and do something different,
make a difference.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. I mean, because it's so important too, I think, to recognize that in these industries, they're like, so, people of color are so still underrepresented, So have you found that from being able to bring this organization together and go out and like make this kind of an impact that, more people are feeling more comfortable to see, I see somebody that looks like me that's here that can, that's making a difference. And that's, I'm sure that's just like a magnet for people to be able to, connect with them and,
Right. I've been in stores and guys have asked me, hey, what they think that I'm a manager. They think that I'm, a supervisor. They think that I work for a tip company or something that was bought in to be a lead. Yeah. And then when I tell them that it's my company and, I'm the owner of the company and this, that, and the other, then it's a whole different ballgame.
Whole different conversation.
It's a whole different ballgame because, it's how you treat people. It's how you run your business and sometimes being into the being in the mix and in the trenches with your guys or whatever. It's big and it's needed, and we're giving a lot of guys, a lot of people inspiration. So if there's somebody that I see that's doing a great job, I might surround him with a team. Surround him with a team of guys and let him lead and let him build up. Now he's making more money, and then hopefully get him to another position where he can start his own company and he have his own guys and he can take on more stores or whatever. So it's all about building that opportunity for others, giving more than you're taking.
How do you identify that too? Whenever you're looking at somebody and seeing that they are, getting better and better and that you should, you're like, you're representing this company so well, and I am so proud of your work. And I know that you can have that effect trickle down to others. What are some of the key things that stand out to you, just for anybody that is looking to step it up? And especially now more than ever, I know so many people have gotten new jobs. So many people have gone into new industries. So many people have changed so much. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for, people that do the little things, right?
Yeah.
Being on time. Being on time, knowing before you come in that, you've kind of looked over the plans and you're prepared, things like that. Somebody that's in a room, if somebody's speaking and you're taking notes, right? So take notes,
Absolutely.
and somebody that, got drive and that has that, the endurance to keep going. When it's tough and, you're over the hours that you need to be working or whatever, but you want to give it some more and you want to make sure the job gets done.
Yeah.
And you want to teach others, so somebody that can go in and deal with others and teach others. You want people like that, that it's not all about me. It's all about, hey, how can I can do my job, but how can I help the next man to do better and be beside me, because it is a team. And so you want to better your team, so that's kind of what I pretty much that I look at, we're looking at these guys. It's like looking at a player, and watching film, right? You watch film, I can watch 5 or 6 plays on a player and I can see everything about him. Why? Because we're creatures of habit, we're creatures of habit. Guess what? You come in late once, guess what? You probably come in late periodically, right? If you take plays off, I can see that you take plays off, so therefore it's kind of like it's a pattern. So I look at that and I think it works. It works, but that's kind of how we like to assess it and move people up. And then guess what? If they're not, are they willing to learn? Can they be taught? And you can see that as well.
Coachability.
That want to be, are they coachable? Right?
Yeah. No, I think that's something that everybody should be looking for right now. And we've talked a little bit about also just aligning your bigger goal with anything that you're trying to do. Sometimes I know that people find it a little hard to be able to align their company's goal with all of their employees across the board. What is, any advice that you have on that for being able to make sure that, you have this bigger vision? How do you get that down to the people that are working for you? Make sure that they're aligned with what your vision is.
Give them one thing to do. Nice. And let them do that one thing consistently right over and over again. If they can do that, and we can do a good job of positioning them to do that, where we're not all over the place, but do your job, and that's another Belichick quote, do your job and help second, right? So get your job done and do it consistently over and over again. Once you're done with it, if you want to help, then you can help. But I just need you to focus on that. And when you show that you can do that consistently, then maybe we can add something else to your plate. And can you handle 2 things now? Can you handle 2 positions? And then that's where you kind of can move people up the ladder. But at the same time, that's how you're going to keep people focused, because you can tell them your goal, you can tell them where we're at, but I don't think you need to worry about that. You need to worry about just your job, because this is where your part is played on this team. And I just want you to just do that. If you can do that, then we're well off and we're going to be a great company if I can get 100% of my people to think just like that.
No, that's so true, because anytime that you can get people to actually do what their function is or what's the most valuable to the company, all of a sudden, if they can keep doing it time after time, next thing you know, you've got this performance guarantee, right?
Right.
You know that when they come in, you're like, I have seen this guy for the last, this guy or girl for the last like 2-3 months show up and execute this perfectly every single time, to the point that I know if I put them on the play, they're going to make this happen.
Right.
No, I think that's totally exactly what people need to keep in mind whenever they're trying to lead folks. So for me, something that we've been seeing happening is, and I touched on a little bit, is this big shift, right, in our generation where, people, especially after COVID, so much changed. People are leaving their traditional jobs left and right. Retention at companies is it's dive bombing right now. People are taking a chance to bet on themselves and pursue their passions, whether that be anything from being a digital freelancer to doing real estate to becoming an entrepreneur, right? People are doing all these different jobs, and this big shift is happening across the board, where people are going against the norm and betting on themselves and trying to invest in themselves. So for me, what I wanted to know was, for you, what made you want to strive for greatness rather than, just taking the easy path? Because I know we talked a little bit about that in the beginning, but, my thing that I'm curious about is, you could have, there's so many different options where you could fall in line with exactly what, maybe everybody else is doing, but rather you took the hard way in a sense, right? Because you worked so hard, man, because this stuff does not just happen naturally. When you look at any of the greats, it takes what you've already said, that mindset of studying the other players, being able to sacrifice, being able to have the right faith and dedication to get yourself across. I'm sure has there been moments where you have thought, maybe I won't take this path, or what? Yeah. Tell me, what got you there, man?
Honestly, I've always been a 10-year guy, right?
10 year. Yeah.
10 years. It's 10 years. So where am I going to be 10 years from now? Where do I want to be 10 years from now? and then how am I going to get there?
Yeah.
So, even playing football, it's more of, hey, I know that the NFL is short-lived. I know that it's a lifestyle and it's different, and it's, what happened with guys going broke or filing bankruptcy or whatever. I know all of that. But at the same time, I think earlier on what I did was I planned for that.
Yeah.
Right. I planned for that because there is a high percentage. So guess what? You can fall in that, but how do you mitigate the risk of doing that? That's one thing. But I think taking the easy road, that's just simple. That's average. In order to be average, the only thing you got to do is, I heard this from tequila spikes, just wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
You'll be average. You'll be just like everybody else is walking around that day. But I didn't want to be average. I wanted to be great. When I was on the football field, I wanted to be great. Same way in business, I want to be great. So therefore, how do you do that? This time of year, I go back and assess everything that I did this year. What can I do better? Not what I did great. It's more of what can I do better? That's one of the things where it's like, what can I do better? And then how can I get better? So you go back and address that. And it's kind of like that regrouping thing going into the new year or whatever. But, I like the hard road. It's more exciting, I think. But as long as you got a plan, as long as you have a plan and you got a vision, I think you can accomplish anything, right? You can accomplish anything. So it's not necessarily that hard. It's just, I know guys that are lawyers. I couldn't go to school for 8 years to do that. I know guys that are doctors. Yeah. To me, that's the hard road.
Sure. Well, sure. Yeah. Well, it's I think it's also about being honest and aligning your passion with what what's going to give you that drive.
Love
right?
what you do. That's one of the things I wanted to say earlier. Love it. If you love it, it don't matter. If you love it, it don't matter. Like I started up these businesses or whatever. It's not that I just love that business. I love starting up businesses and putting the right people in place and growing them and seeing them excel and seeing everybody else excel.
And the impact of that.
Yeah, exactly. Because that has, I've had companies with 400 or 500 employees, and or even more. And, that's miles you're feeding. They're taking that to their communities, their homes, their families, and stuff like that. So being a part of that, that's just make me sleep good at night.
Man. No, that's I think that's such a good way to put it is, analyzing your impact, aligning your passions with what you want to do. And I think that's important for so many people to hear, just because there are people that are maybe nervous and doing something that they don't love they don't love what they're doing. Right.
And I've done it. I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah. What got you out of, or what helped you realize that whenever you have, been like that?
When you really look back in the mirror and look at your path and your plan, and you say, no, this doesn't even fit into my plan and my 10-year plan and where I'm trying to go. Yeah. It doesn't fit. And at the same time, like you said, you wake up in the morning, you don't want to go do that. And it's like, guess what? This is not it. This is not it. Anything that stresses you out, you shouldn't do it. It's kind of like, you got to do something you love, and that's it. And if you don't, you'll know it. You'll know it. You would know it. And at the end of the day, some people have companies that, hey, they might be successful. The company might be successful, but it's not something that you really want to do. So it kind of rubs off or whatever, and it's just I just wouldn't feel good about it.
Yeah. And what do you think the balance is? Because I feel like sometimes people, that I feel like there is kind of a fine line there, right? Because sometimes just because you're doing something that you love doesn't mean that there won't be hard times either. Oh yeah. Right. There might be seasons that are terrible where you're like, man, I'm down bad right now. How do you kind of navigate and toe the line there, you think, with being able to get yourself through that?
It's like a relationship.
Yeah.
It's like a relationship. You might love that person or whatever, but it's going to be some bumps in the road. It's going to be things that happen. But what do you got to do? You got to communicate. You got to address the issues, and you keep going. You keep going, or you just break apart.
Yeah.
And and go your separate ways. And that's that. And I think that's kind of how you can think about it.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's a great way to think about it. We're always talking about like relationships, how that in business, we're always talking about relationships. We're always talking about sports analogies. And because I don't know, it's funny. I mean, it sounds kind of silly, but life just is giving us the answers a lot of the times too,
Exactly. You just got to be able to listen to it and see the signs that it's there, because if it's a business that, I've had some businesses that and I've shut them down, I've shut them down. Look, or somebody else's passion. It's not yours.
Yeah.
You got a partner or whatever. It's somebody's their passion, but you jumped along for the ride because you liked it or whatever, or it seemed right at the time. But then once you get in, it's like, no, the people that I'm dealing with, the things I got to go through, whatever, it's like, this is not what I want to be doing.
That's exactly right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know, whenever we talk about the 10-year plan, that's something that I think is important for everybody to kind of keep in mind is whenever you're making these plans, it sounds like sometimes you got to think of the overarching goal and not make it so specific.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm sure you found it, right? The plan doesn't exactly always work out exactly as you want it to.
No.
So you got to be open and be like a running back and be reflexive to it and adjust accordingly.
You have to be nimble, right? You have to be nimble, and you can't be tied emotionally to anything. Yeah. Even though you love the business or you love what you're doing, whatever, you can't be emotionally tied to it to the point where it drags you all the way down. If something happens, and I think that's very important.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So not only have you been, this entrepreneur, this professional athlete, you've experienced a lot of life and you've done so much. But we have some mutual friends and they were telling me that you're also just an awesome dad too, So I wanted to, talk about it because, I heard that you even empower your kids to like go on their own paths, whether it's being an entrepreneur, exploring like music or anything like that.
Yep.
That's not normal always, right? Like it's kind of crazy. I know that there's so many parents out there that are like, they don't want their kids to necessarily find their own way. Rather, they kind of have it thought out for them. What's your kind of mentality about all that?
I just think that the traditional way of growing up, especially with these kids nowadays, is not the same as when we did. Right? It was, hey, go through school, get good grades and go to college, and find your career. These kids nowadays, they can be 16, 17 years old and make millions of dollars just because they got 2 million followers because they did some kind of whatever post, know, or whatever. So it's kind of like, it's really, like I said earlier, innovating and being with the times, and not being behind the times. So therefore my kids, they kind of keep me in line, right? So I want to give them that opportunity. Hopefully one day run my business or whatever, but I want them to, because you can start up a business, but we're just not starting up a business, but you need to know the fundamentals.
Sure.
Get the fundamentals first. And how to start the business, and know that it's going to take some time. It's going to take some bumps and whatever, but we're just not starting a business. It's got to be something that you love to do or you want to do, or it's something that is, something that you see is going to be big in the next couple of years, industry or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So letting them do that, experiment with it. Like my older son, he had a shoe company when he was 13,
wow.
Selling shoes and this, that, and other. Then he wanted to go to music. And he's in a TV show right now on Apple TV.
Man, that's amazing.
So he's doing that now and trying to capitalize on that. But, I just try to say, hey, if you want to do it, you can do it. But I just need to know that you're passionate about it and that you're going to work hard at it. And it's just not something that you just want to do. So you're going to have to put the work in. And that's kind of what you want to, that's why I like it more than anything else, is I want to see them put the work into it.
So especially your oldest, I mean, have you noticed that, they're coming back to you and trying to pick your brain about these things now and get some of that? Because I know it's also like you're still their, you're still their dad.
And sometimes they do, but sometimes they think you don't know this, you don't know that, or whatever. But at the same time, sometimes they might ask, or whatever, but they like to do their own thing and fill it out their own way. But if I see something, I'll say something and just let them know, hey, did you, or ask questions.
Yeah.
I like to ask questions, what are you doing about that? Or what's the plan for that? Or, get on a whiteboard and, let me see your, where you at? What was your plan? Are you where you want to be or whatever? It's just asking those questions and just dialing in that way is more helpful than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like some of the best coaches out there are the ones that can just ask the question.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you give that person that eureka moment, where they're like, like, damn, it was right in front of me the whole time,
I'll help, but I got 3 companies now and I don't need another one right now. So I let them do that. That's your company. That's your thing. So I'm not running.
Hey, that's how you empower people though, That's great. And you see them one day taking over your places in the future?
Possibly, possibly after they get finished figuring out, but at least they'll be well equipped and have some experience along the way and be more innovative. And I like that, when they get a little older, be able to come in and innovate and take the company to another level from where it is right now, So that's part of it. It's part of growth and how you have companies stay around for a long time.
Yeah. And, I think it seems like part of your mindset too is that there's still a lot to learn from the younger generation as well, right? And it's like a two-way thing. And I thought that was very humble, because a lot of people, they laugh at it, but then it's like you said, there's 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds that are making millions. Yep. So what are your recommendations for being able to like stay humble and be open and get there? Because obviously, it'd be nice if we all had that switch in our brain to be able to get to that place. But what kind of made you realize that, that it was important to hear, what your kids are doing and people in their generation?
I hire interns, and I bring in interns, and you can learn a lot from interns. They know a lot that I don't know, as far as how to get to point A to point B with navigating through spreadsheets and PowerPoints and, putting together this. There's so many apps and, so many applications out there nowadays. And I'm sitting there trying to figure out something. It's like, oh, they got an app for that called this, that, and the other. Oh.
Wow.
So you go and it's like, boom, you find that, so it's being able to listen to them because they want to be heard, and if they want, and I think that's one of the biggest things with the younger generation. They want to be heard. So therefore we got to listen. We got to listen. We can't be stuck in our ways. And I think the pandemic helped out a lot too, because I can remember going into meetings pre-pandemic where it was cookie cutter. Businesses are very cookie cutter about how they operate. But after, because of everything and the unknown, or are we going to have another lockdown, or is going to be another variant that's going to put everybody at home or whatever. So now it's, hey, we got to move quick. We got to move now. We got to move now. So it's like, I was talking earlier to somebody about NIL, with the colleges and the transfer portal, right? Coaches nowadays, they're different. They got to be different because you have to win with what you have right now. Because some of your best players that you have right now might be in the transfer portal next year going somewhere else.
Wow. So it's a whole different game.
You got to win with the team you have right now. So maximizing their abilities, trying to pull it out of them. What can you do? And there's ways to keep them incentivized and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's still the fact remains. You got to win with the team you have right now. So listening to them, hearing them out, and, because we got to win together. We don't lose together. We got to win together. So I think that's part of being a team, and coaches even understanding that, hey, you need to listen to your players too. Even though you want your players to buy in to what you're selling, sometimes you got to listen as well. And being a great listener makes a good coach.
Absolutely.
And business owner.
Yeah. And they, there's definitely so many intersections there where all of that is so crucial, and everything is pretty informed by whoever your team is, whether we're talking sports or business. Yeah. It's just, you got to work with what you've got. Absolutely.
Right.
I think that's so important for everybody to make sure that they are aware of. So something I, was thinking about too is a lot of times there, in these scenarios where people are trying to, learn how to become the person that can speak up and become the person that is being heard. People have a tough time getting their voice in there and providing a platform. So it sounds like your mindset is again to just be open to absorbing that. Whenever somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to make a change," how do you tactfully absorb that information and then give something that should make a game plan out of that? Like if you're thinking like a coach or thinking like a business owner, and you're getting all this feedback coming at you all the time, how do you manage that? Would you say that it comes back to your big picture goal, or how do you filter through that?
It comes back to how does it fit into the model of what we're doing and where we're going and where we're trying to go, and also how much did you think this through?
Yeah,
how much you think this through and poke some holes into it or whatever, and just see how viable it is and will it work? And you know what? If it's not going to hurt us, then hey, we'll try it. Because sometimes that person needs to learn that, hey, look, sometimes things don't work.
Yeah.
It don't work. Sometimes you're going to say things, you're going to put things down on the table. It don't work. But guess what? Who cares? Right?
Yeah.
Just
move forward.
Hey, look, let's move forward. And that's one of the things that, that's pretty much how I think. And as far as people bringing in input or whatever it might be. But yeah, you want to hear that. You want to. Some things might work. There might be some things going on in the field. Like right now, I got project managers out there that they'll come back and say, "Hey, we need to probably do this different, or do that different next go round, or when we go to this next project or whatever." And I want to. Did we think it through? What's the pros, the cons? Okay, let's do that. And we'll do it. And if it works, it works. Great. If it don't, we just sit back and say, it's not their fault. It's, hey, what could we have done better?
Yeah.
Or where did this miss or whatever? And assess it, address it, and see if we go back and do it again, and just do it a different way. But don't be afraid to try things out. Don't be afraid.
Yeah. Be resistant to, you're not resistant, but open to just, failure in a sense, right? I mean, that's the thing is, I think people need to redefine what failure is a little bit, because I would say that, and I'd love to know what you think about this, but I'd say that failure usually is only when you actually give up or stop doing something, right? It's whenever you choose to be average by doing like that quote you said earlier, just waking up and only doing that, so.
You're right. People do, failure means certain things, different to some people, and success as well.
Yeah.
So, but understanding failure is really just experience, it's just experience. And also mentally, being tough that, hey, if something did happen or it didn't work out the way you wanted it to work out, they just regroup and do something else.
Yeah.
Or how can you do it different? And that's where people get it confused and not really addressing and assessing themselves. And what did I do wrong? It's always what everybody else did wrong.
Sure.
Or what happened was this, that. It's not, hey, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better?
Yeah.
And that's where I think that's where the failure lies in people not
great point.
Assessing themselves and their weaknesses. That's why as an athlete, when I watch film, I didn't look at the great runs. I looked at my weaknesses at the end of the season. What did I do wrong? What can I do? What do I need to work on this off season in order to come back a better running back and a better, that's how you're going to keep excelling,
Looking at yourself is so important, because I feel like that's really all you control, right? So, I mean, why are you trying to worry about stuff that you can't control in the first place,
That's a big statement, as far as control, and I tell my kids that, all the time, like, you can only control what you can control. I tell employees that too. You can only control what you can control.
Yeah.
Our customer, our client, you can't control them.
Yeah.
But what you can control is, are we prepared? Are we ready to go? Are the people doing the little things and being on time and doing all that? we can control that. So that's what we need to control. Everything else is out of our control, and let's just take them as they come and find a solution when a problem happens.
Use that mental energy accordingly, towards the things where you can actually make an impact, because otherwise you're stuck. You're stuck wasting precious minutes, precious seconds.
Don't just spin your wheels, right?
Let
them catch and keep going.
Yeah. So you're always thinking in this 10-year plan. I wanted to just reverse engineer that a little bit. What do you do at, whenever you've maybe gotten through that 10-year segment? Do you ever try to talk to think about what you would tell yourself 10 years ago, or, reflect on that time to make, tweak the plan and make your next 10 years even better? Or what's that kind of like?
For me, it's always been, my whole 10-year, my whole 10-year thing has always been that extra step, that extra level, that next level or whatever. So it's kind of just going back in and setting another 10-year plan.
Yeah.
Because what's behind us, like you said, we do got to address it and see where we went wrong or what we could have done better. But at the same time, now that's behind us. Now it's another season. So we can't talk about what happened last season in game 14, right?
Sure.
We can't talk about that. Now it's, hey, look, I went through the off season. I've trained hard. I've worked on my weaknesses. I feel like I got better. Now, okay, what's the 10-year plan going into this season?
I'm going to bring it to the table now.
And where am I taking my company? Where am I taking it? Where are we going? Are we going to acquire more? Are we going to sell more? Are we going to, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
So it's a good question, but it just all rolls back around. It's just setting a new path. What do we do?
I mean, let's keep moving forward, right?
Yeah, let's keep moving forward. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Jamal, hey, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and I know that our viewers are going to absolutely love all this knowledge that you've given us, all this wisdom. So, I was really excited to get to have you on as our, one of our official first guests. Thank you so much for joining me, man. I really look forward to checking out everything that you do. Is there anything that you want to plug in here that, where can people look out for you? Do they need to be on?
LinkedIn, Jamal Lewis on LinkedIn. You can find me there. To Instagram, Jamal31 Lewis. Yeah. Facebook, Jamal Lewis 31. So I'm there, but Buyer Connected Incorporated is one of my companies, Southeast Exhibits and Events, and also Scholars Education Tutoring Centers.
Awesome.
So, just all around trying to make a difference.
Cool, man. Hey, well, it was a pleasure.
Hey, absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamal.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the GEM series, the podcast for anybody dedicated to investing in themselves. Stay tuned for our next episode and look in the links below for resources that you can use for yourself. Until next time, this is Blake Chapman, and remember to be awesome and do awesome things.